This week on the show, we're looking at movie Jesus, Keven Spacey's huge balls, exploding vaginas, Schwarzenegger is back, George Washington gets mystic, Henry Cavill is a prince of the universe, and more right here on the JARcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 19 of the JARcast movie podcast. I am Jake, your host from Jacob Anders Reviews, and it is May 24th, 2021, and I've got some news to talk to you about from this past week. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good one. If you're watching this at the premiere, thank you very much. It is Tuesday night, if that be the case. If not, thank you for rewatching it later on and or listening to it on all major podcasting platforms. Nothing huge, well, one big thing happened this week, but some really interesting news did come down the pipeline. And instead of keeping you guys waiting, I guess we'll just jump right into it. And our first news story of the day is Movie Jesus, aka Fast 9 or F9, depending on what you want to call it, is saving theaters. And I just want to throw in there, I told you so. Also, on that note, if you didn't notice, this morning on my channel, if you're watching this at the premiere that is, I released my review of Fast 9, aka F9, Fast and Furious 9. I don't know what the fuck they're calling this movie, but my review is up. I got a chance to see the movie in advance with a friend, allowed me to see it at a theater. It wasn't 100% kosher, but that's, how these things work out. And I don't really want to say much more than that because I don't think he was supposed to. Actually, I know for a fact he wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be for employees only. But every now and then he gives me a call and says, hey, I got this thing. You'd probably be interested in it. Do you want to come and see it? Sure. And I always have to sit in the back away from everybody so they can't see me. But I did get to see this monumental movie in theaters. And why, you may ask, is it so monumental? Well, that's what our story today is all about. The latest installment in Universal's testosterone-fueled franchise kicked off with a massive $162.4 million in 8 markets, including China, Korea, and Hong Kong. Those ticket sales easily mark the best start for a Hollywood blockbuster since the virus hit. It's an encouraging start to summer movie season, particularly because revenues weren't far off from what a fast movie would have generated at box office in non-pandemic times. Moviegoers are eager to come back to theaters when the right movie is out there. Universal's president of international distribution, Veronica Kwan Vanderberg, said, "It's a great movie for the China market," she adds. "It has a strong fan base." My friend, it has a strong fan base all over the fucking world, because here in America, if it made $162 million over there in its first weekend, I really want to see what it's going to do over here. I've said that for a while, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's finish this story here. Of this weekend's $162 million bounty, $135 million came from China alone. That ranks as the second biggest launch for the series in the country, following the 8th entry, 2017's The Fate of the Furious, which made $184 million, so really not that far off. In another notable milestone, it's the first Hollywood title in 2 years since Disney's 2019 superhero epic Avengers Endgame to debut more than $100 million in China. Elsewhere, F9 opened to $9.9 million in Korea, as well as $6.2 million in the Middle East and $2.4 million in Hong Kong. With this weekend's ticket sales, the Fast franchise has pushed past $6 billion globally. That's the franchise, not just this movie. In the US, the box office is expected to ramp up over Memorial Day weekend as Paramount's nearly silent sequel, A Quiet Place Part 2, and Disney's Cruella land in theaters. Yeah. Quiet Place 2 will probably do fairly well in theaters. I don't think it's going to be that kind of money, but I think it'll do good this weekend, especially being a long weekend. Cruella, maybe. I don't know. I'm not real hyped about that one. But Quiet Place 2, I've heard a lot of people talking about. Lots of people are looking forward to that one. And especially since it's not coming to any streaming platforms, that will definitely drive some people out to theaters. People that I know, at least, that I've seen, like at work and whatnot, have really been itching to get out and do stuff. They're ready to put all this behind them. I know it's not totally behind us, but they're ready to get back to some normality. And movie theater is one of the most normal things you can do. Well, for me at least. But Fast 9, $162 fucking million. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. That is far more than any movie has done since the pandemic hit over a year ago. And I just want to throw out there, as I said at the top, I told you so. I have long said all these other movies they've talked about releasing, when Black Widow was going to come out in May, and all these other movies, people said, this is the one, Tenet's the one, Mortal Kombat's the one, Godzilla vs. Kong, or Kong vs. Godzilla, whatever it was, is the one, which Godzilla vs. Kong did very well, but I have long said, no, the movie that's going to get people to come out, as much as I love Mortal Kombat, and I really enjoyed that movie, the movie that is going to get people's asses out of their houses in this era and into theaters is Fast 9. A Fast and the Furious movie will get the masses out to theaters. It is the perfect movie for that. And I think this is the perfect time. And I think it doesn't come out officially here in America. I know there's been a lot of screenings around, but it doesn't come out officially until June 25th, I believe. So we're like exactly a month away as of the recording of this. So we got a month, one more month to, unless something really bad happens, which, you know, if the last year has told us anything, something really bad can happen in one fucking day. But as barring something really bad happening again that locks us away at home, I think Fast 9 is going to do fucking gangbang. I think it's gonna gangbang the fucking theaters. I think it's gonna do gangbusters across the board when it comes out here in the States, because while China is a huge market for sure, let's be real, Fast and the Furious is a huge thing in America. People are going to go out in droves to see this movie. This is the one. This is going to be the first summer blockbuster, and really, I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be the movie to beat this year, depending on where we are as a country or as a world, really. Come holiday season, when all the Marvel movies really start cranking out that time, and other bigger movies towards the end of the year, as of right now, I'm going to say Fast 9 is going to it is a big contender for highest grossing film of 2021. And if it ends up as highest grossing film of 2021, I wouldn't be surprised. We have a month until it hits theaters here in the States. I'm not sure if we're bigger than China as far as like box office. I think we are, but I know China's at least number 2. So one of us is I think America's number 1, China's number 2. China's a whole bunch of motherfuckers over there. But yeah, Fast 9, killing it. Movie Jesus. It is finally here. Everybody said it was going to be Tenet. No, it wasn't Tenet. I mean, I don't know who thought that. I mean, a lot of people thought that. I never thought Tenet was going to just blow up at the box office. But no, it's Fast 9. I have said that for months. I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. So yeah, Fast 9 is incoming. And I can say, because I've already seen it, if you haven't seen my review, yeah, it's worth seeing. It's a really fun movie. It's that perfect movie to get you out there. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you have seen Fast and the Furious movies since Fast 5, you know what you're going to get here. That's exactly what to expect. And it's a crowd pleaser. People are going to enjoy it. People are enjoying it. And in one weekend, it made $162 million. Of course, that's going to taper off as it goes along. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is well over, before it hits our shores officially, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is well past 500 million, if not even more, because that's only 8 markets that it opened in. Now, 8 markets is more than 8 countries, but it's still 8 markets. And I mean, we'll just have to see. I'm really interested to see how much money this thing amasses before it releases. And there's no way this movie, there's a lot of shit going on in this movie, so it probably was an expensive movie, but I guarantee that by next weekend, this movie will have already made its budget back. They typically say you got to make twice your budget to be profitable. Fast 9 will be profitable. This movie's going to be profitable, and it will totally solidify the fact that they have already started work on 2 more movies in the franchise, which see my review for more on that. But yeah, that's Fast 9, movie Jesus. It's bringing the theaters back, and hopefully people do get out and see this thing when it comes here to the States, and it just kind of normalizes the whole theater experience again, and people start going out. And I mean, going to the movies is not just an American pastime. I mean, I'm American, so of course I see it as a pastime of us, but it's just a pastime for human beings, and it's something. There's not much more in the world that is more normal. It's the ultimate date night thing, if you will. So I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing more movies in theaters again. So hopefully you guys are too. So after that, going from that great news, I have more great news. This week is full of really great news. One thing that's not, possibly, I don't know, it's a little bit of a downer. No big downers this week though. But one more thing that is big news to those that are in the know about this particular movie. And I am talking about my boy John Boyega is going back. He hadn't forgot where he came from. He's going back to where it all started. And if you're aware of his first film, or at least his breakout film, I'm not sure if it was his first, but it was one of his first, his breakout film, we are finally getting confirmation that they are in active development of Attack the Block Part 2. It's finally coming. Now, if you haven't seen Attack the Block, the first one, it's just Attack the Block, not Part 1, just Attack the Block. If you haven't seen that, you should go check it out right now. It's on streaming services and stuff. I'm not sure which ones, but it's available. It's readily available. It came out, it's been like 10 years ago now, I think. It was 2010, 2011, that's what it says here. So definitely check that out. That movie's awesome. But let's look into this story real quick. Studio Canal and Film 4 confirmed that early development has begun on Attack the Block 2. A decade after the release of the original in 2011. Plot details are being kept under wraps, but Boyega will return as Moses, an inner-city teenage gang leader that proved his breakout role before being cast in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and more recently in Steve McQueen's Small Axe anthology film series. I'm not familiar with Small Axe. I might need to check that out. I like Steve McQueen. The original, in which a teenage gang in London defend their block of flats from aliens, debuted at SXSW, where it won the Audience Award. It went on to take just $6.2 million at the global box office, but became a cult hit and secured Cornish a BAFTA nomination for Outstanding Debut. Cornish, the director by the way, who went on to co-write Ant-Man and direct The Kid Who Would Be King, which I've heard. I've not seen The Kid Who Would Be King, but I've heard, even though it sounds like it's kind of like a goofy title, and I think the trailer looks kind of goofy, I've heard that movie's actually really good. Like, really good. And if he made it, I did not know that he, the maker of Attack the Block, made that, so I'm probably going to check that out at some point. But yeah, The Kid Who Would Be King, I've heard of that. It's supposed to be surprisingly a really good movie. But anyway, he will write the sequel as well. He will also produce with Nira Park through Complete Fiction Pictures, the production company they recently formed with director Edgar Wright. That's interesting. I love Edgar Wright. Boyega will produce through his banner Upper Room Productions. So, Attack the Block 2. I don't know how many of you guys, because I know most of my viewers and listeners are here in the States. I don't know, Attack the Block did its rounds here in the States as well, but it's not as well known here. As I said at the top, if you haven't seen Attack the Block, it is absolutely worth checking out one night. It is a hidden gem of a fantastic film. I didn't see it when it first came out. I'd heard of it. I saw it a couple years later, probably around like 2014, 15, something like that, and I fell in love with it since then. I remember when I saw it, right after I saw it is when I heard that, oh, that guy, John Boyega, in that movie, he's going to be in the new Star Wars. Okay. It's kind of ironic, I remember that. But Attack the Block is awesome. It's a really fun, cool movie. I don't know, it's been a while since I saw it. I don't know exactly how they'll go forward with a sequel, but I do recall from what I remember about the movie, they could definitely do something. They could absolutely move forward with that story into in further adventures. I do wonder, because I mean, it's 10 years. Boyega he still looks pretty young, so I guess he could still play the same character. He's an older teenage character. So I don't know what amount of time will have passed. I don't care because I love that movie and I'm really looking forward to seeing another one. Since I saw it, I was like, man, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It was awesome. So yeah, go check out Attack the Block and be on the lookout at some point in time for Attack the Block 2. Now, from there, we're getting into our one story that isn't a negative, but it is... it's about a bad situation. It's about a bad situation that happened a few years ago, and now someone is making a comeback. And this is a comeback that kind of came out of nowhere. And admittedly, this comeback, I mean, I got to give the guy this much, regardless if he did these things that have been alleged or not. This is a ballsy way to come back, man. The guy, he got balls. I'll give him that. He has some major fucking balls, and I'm talking about the once great and possibly still great, depending on if he did this shit or not, Keven Spacey, because Keven Spacey is returning, and he's taking on a ballsy ass role considering what, why the reason we haven't seen him for so long. Keven Spacey, the actor who has faced numerous allegations of sexual misconduct over the past 4 years, is set to return to film acting with a small role as a detective in an Italian crime drama. Spacey, 61, will play a police officer investigating the case of a man, played by the director, Franco Nero, who can draw people by listening to their voices, despite not being able to see, and who is wrongfully accused of sexually abusing children. But for those of you that don't know, some of the allegations that came at Spacey were for young boys. Once again, allegations, nothing has been proved. I am very happy Keven agreed to participate in the film, Nero told ABC News. I consider him a great actor, and I can't wait to start the movie. The film will also feature Nero's wife, Vanessa Redgrave, I didn't know that, who will play the accused man's piano teacher. Spacey has been little seen on either big or small screen since 2017, when more than 20 men alleged sexual misconduct by the actor when he was working at the Old Vic in London between 1995 and 2013. Spacey denies all accusations of misconduct. He was dropped from Netflix's House of Cards series, and his scenes in Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World were hastily reshot with Christopher Plummer, who won an Oscar nomination for his work. You remember that they digitally removed Keven Spacey. You can even find the trailer with Keven Spacey in heavy prosthetics as that character out there, and the movie was already done and ready to roll, and I think they shot for 9 days. That's it, with Christopher Plummer before he's passed now. I think he passed away recently, but they shot with him for 9 days and digitally inserted him and removed Keven Spacey in all the scenes, and he won a fucking Oscar for it. I mean, Christopher Plummer is great, but I mean, let's be real. Regardless of what he did, Keven Spacey is a good actor. But moving on. In a recent podcast, he also drew a line between his own situation and those whose lives had been destroyed by the virus. I don't think it will come as a surprise for anyone to say that my world completely changed in the fall of 2017, he said. My job, many of my relationships, my standing in my own industry were all gone in just a matter of hours. And so I do have empathy for what it feels like to suddenly be told that you can't go back to work or that you might lose your job. Yeah, I could see that, because that is kind of how it happened. I mean, he was one of the, I'm not the first person to be canceled, but he was one of the biggest names in Hollywood to legit be wiped off the face of the fucking earth, canceled. I mean, since this stuff popped up in 2007, you heard all that stuff about Keven Spacey when it was going down, and then you just ain't heard shit else about him. He's been gone. They got rid of his ass. The interesting thing, before I jump into this movie and talk about that real quick, what we know about it, is the allegations, which, as I've said many times before, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but as I've said many times before, they are allegations. Let's look up the meaning of that word once again. They are not convictions. He has not been found guilty. He's not even been to court. their allegations. They ruined his life. Some people came out. Now, I mean, according to this article, a whole lot of people came out and said, hey, he did these things. Now, I don't know specifically what it was. It was just sexual misconduct. I know there was some other deeper into this article. I didn't record it all, but there were actually quite a few of the charges have been dropped, or allegations have been dropped, because I know one of the people has died since making the allegations, and another one refused to testify, and another one, it's just all of them there was some reason why they wouldn't press charges for whatever it was. And they can't say they're scared of Keven Spacey, because I mean the guy has been wiped off the earth pretty much. It's not like he holds a lot of prominence or anything, or power at this point. But and the only one to kind of stick to his guns, I don't have the gentleman's name here. He was an actor who proclaimed when he was 14. I think he's the only one that I read about who really came forward with details, and it didn't give a lot of details to what he did, but he was claiming that Spacey did some I think some groping or something like that when he was 14, 10, 20 years ago. I think it was like in the 90s, so I guess it would have been 20, 30 years ago. But he's claiming that he did some groping and things like that to him when he was 14 years old. And Spacey said, essentially, I don't remember this stuff. If something like that happened, that's not how I meant it, and I apologize. He did say that. He did come out. I mean, that's the only thing at all that he's ever said confirming anything, and he didn't really say he did it. He was just saying, I don't remember doing anything like that, and I know that I wouldn't have done something like that. If I did, if you took it a certain way, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Now, did he do this stuff? I have no idea. And chances are, it looks like there's not going to be any real charges thrown against him. It's just allegations. And this is where I have an issue, and I know I've said this a bunch of times here on the show. I have an issue with people's livelihood and their lives being totally destroyed. Like, this man's life was destroyed. He was a huge actor, Academy Award winner. Just when Keven Spacey was in a movie, you knew it was going to be a good one. I mean, he was great. He is, regardless of what he did in the past, it does not change the fact that the guy has talent. He was a fantastic, he is a fantastic actor. Now, I mean, if he's going around groping kids and shit like that, I mean, I don't know. You know, some people are like much more touchy-feely than other people. Maybe it was that. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to come up with some reasoning. Because, like, I know my grandfather, and don't get crazy with this. Let's just talk this real quick. He was like, he came from another time, not like in a creepy way whatsoever, but he was very much like hands-on. People nowadays are not, we're all about our bubbles. We don't touch people. Admittedly, I don't really like strangers touching me, but I remember my grandfather was real quick to just come up to a complete stranger if he was speaking with someone and, like, put his hand on their shoulder or kind of, like, do that. And, you know, people were much more touchy-feely, not in a creepy way, but just, you know, much more physical back in the day. It wasn't as it is now. People are so much more distant now for varying different reasons, but that was just a product of the time until he passed away. And he never ever did anything inappropriate, but he was just from that time period. There was no problem. Like, you know, like a handshake, that's about as close as we get nowadays. You get a handshake from him, you get the other arm coming in and grabbing your upper arm. It's like, hey, and like patting you on the back and grabbing you by the shoulder and stuff like that. And just a very happy person, never touching you in a weird way. But my point is people were much more physical back then. Is that what Keven Spacey was doing? And because he's an older guy, he's 61 now. I mean, are these like some of the behaviors he has where he's just like much more like, like touching people and not meaning it in any kind of way? And perhaps they're taking it that way because they're from another generation. Or is he out there being a fucking pedo and just like touching on kids? I don't fucking know, man. I wasn't there. I don't know the story. But I'm just saying, one has to wonder, could that possibly be where some of these allegations come from. Or could they just all be bullshit? Or could they be 100% real? I don't know. Once again, allegations. But there's the key word, allegations. This man's life, his livelihood was taken from him. He can't get a role. He was on an extremely popular show, House of Cards on Netflix. They killed his character off. He was just gone. He had finished filming a movie with Ridley Scott. They removed him from the fucking movie. They went in and took him out and put someone else in his place. The movie was done. They delayed it. It was done, ready to release. And they said, oh, no, allegations were made, so we have to take him out. And that's what blows me away, man. As long as we as a society, people are not going to stop, making claims and saying people did things. That's not going anywhere. I don't expect it to. But our reaction to these things as a society needs to change. Now, if these people if we find that they did these things, if the claims are not unfounded, if we're like, oh yeah, there's proof this person did do it, like with EDP for whatever, the YouTuber who was like doing some really fucking despicable shit trying to get with little girls and stuff. That guy, yeah, that shit was pretty well proven. Okay, he fucking said, yeah, I was doing it. Fuck him, he needs to go on. But when you have people that are just, especially rich people, we look at rich people differently. When someone's rich, when they have a lot of power, and then other people come up and say, oh yeah, this person did a thing. I mean, we don't know what the motivations there are. Maybe they did do it. I don't know, because rich people do live by different rules. Have no idea. I'm not going to go on with it. I said that I wasn't going to get into this. I'm not. This is about him making his comeback. I will give the guy this. Like I said, these allegations have not gone anywhere beyond just the allegation phase and him being, pretty much wiped off the face of the fucking earth and losing his career. But he's trying to make a comeback. But it is quite the ballsy comeback, because not only is he making a comeback, he's making a comeback in a movie about a man who has sexually abused children, which is is what he has been alleged that he did, which many people at this point just believe to be fact because it, was shoved down our throat. And it may be, I'm not saying it's not. And to those, I doubt anybody's watching, I'm not that big, but if anybody who has any inside knowledge on it or who has been affected by him negatively, if he really did that stuff, I'm so sorry. I mean, that's terrible, but I'm just saying at this point in time, allegations, but allegations or not, that's what the general populace thinks of Keven Spacey, and he's just going all in. He said, fuck it, if I'm making a comeback, I'm making a fucking comeback. I'm making a gamble. And he's coming back in a movie about sexually abused children. And I'm not really sure from the reading of this article if if his character is the one who has sexually abused children, or accused of it at least, or if he's defending someone who, I'm not sure, but he's in a movie, he's attached to a film about that. And I think that's kind of insane. I'm really interested to see where this goes, what this does with him, if it will give him a platform to have a voice again, and where that goes. Because at this point in time, as of the writing of this article, he is still saying, no, I didn't do any of that stuff. Did not do it. As I said, the most he had to say was, hey, this one guy, when you were younger, if I did something and you took it that way, I'm sorry, I apologize. But he never once said, yeah, I touched anybody inappropriately. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Keven Spacey, regardless of what he's done, it doesn't change the fact that he is a great actor. So this movie may or may not be good. However, the flip side of that, if we're going to make all these allegations, why not move forward with it? I think there is the one guy is considering moving forward with litigation on it. I don't know. We'll find out. If there's a case thrown at him, and I've said that's my problem with a lot of these allegation cases. By the way, that people have thrown at them, the allegations are made, their lives are ruined, and it doesn't go anywhere else. Like, it's very rare. I mean, unless you're Harvey Weinstein, which that guy was a fucking shithead, but most others, like these actors, these famous people, whoever, nothing is ever said about it. It does not go beyond that. I find that crazy, because me, myself, if something happened to me, if a person did something to me, and it got to the point where I went out into the world and made allegations, going along with those allegations would be that I just filed filed papers. I'm taking your ass to court. If I'm going to tell the fucking world about it, I'm also going to take your ass to court, because if you did a criminal act, I'm going to want justice for it. So, I mean, that justice is either going to be me going after you with a fucking gun or taking you to court. So, the legal way, you take them to court. But unless you do it to one of my kids. You do it to one of my kids, we ain't going to court, buddy. I'm going to find your ass in an alley. But I digress. I don't understand why these people aren't going to court. They all come forward and say, this happened to me. But then try and get them locked up so it doesn't happen to someone else, or get justice. I don't get it. But, if he did it, fuck off, Keven Spacey. But if he didn't, I mean, let the guy have his life back. I don't know. We're going to find out. We don't have a name for this movie as of yet that was in this article, but it's coming at some point soon, and I am interested to see what type of reception it gets, because at this point I feel like the general populace's view on Keven Spacey is still, child molester, more or less, or at least sexual abuser. So I will be interested to see how the world takes this new movie from Keven Spacey. Now from there, let's have a bit of a palate cleanser. That story was a little bit deeper, and that's the only kind of dark doom and gloom ish story we've got this week. Wanted to go ahead and get it out of the way, but right after that one, we need something to cleanse that palate. We need something to get all those icky feelings out. And what better to cleanse the palate, to make things all better and nicer and wonderful than vaginas. Not just vaginas, but exploding vaginas. Yes, Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina has exploded and almost killed someone. Well, maybe not exactly. That's kind of a headline, but exploding vaginas. Candles, at least. Vagina candles, not just vaginas. And Gwyneth Paltrow. Texas resident Colby Watson is seeking a jury trial and damages of $5 million after an incident in which he claims one of Goop's, Goop, by the way, is Gwyneth Paltrow's company that offers a bunch of, I think they're all natural products or something. I don't really know what they are. They offer products, candles, and maybe clothes and stuff like that. She's got all famous people got companies that they offer shit and they sell shit. That's hers. And candles is one of the things they sell. Claims one of Goop's "This Smells Like My Vagina" candles exploded on his bedside table. And yes, "This Smells Like My Vagina" is the name of the candle, as you can see right here. That's the name of the actual fucking candle. They named a candle "This Smells Like Vagina." Or like my vagina. Is Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina? I don't know. Somebody's vagina. You know what? There's a lot of vaginas out there, and they all have different smells. Some candles, that might be a good thing. Some, maybe not so much. So whose vagina is this that it smells like? Let's read on and see if we can find out. Watson alleges he burned it for around 3 hours before the candle exploded and became engulfed in flames, according to court documents. See, this guy, this is what I'm talking about. He had an issue. He threw it out there in the world for him to see, and he took that shit to fucking court. Let's see if it's frivolous or not. The table was left with a black burn ring, and the candle jar was charred and black. No injuries were reported, but representatives for Watson are seeking compensation for their client and others who, through no fault of their own, bought defective and dangerous vagina-scented candles. That's it? It didn't burn his house down or something? Fucking hell, he wants $5 million? Let's read on and see. Well, that's a lot of money. I mean, okay, it's exploding vagina candle. That's one thing, but Jesus Christ, $5 million? Goop have rejected the claim, calling it frivolous, and an attempt to secure an outsized payout from a press-heavy product. I mean, frivolous or not, I don't know, but yeah, outsized payout, I could see that part. I'm seeing both sides here. Anyway, we stand behind the brands we carry and the safety of the products we sell, a Goop spokesperson told NBC News. Why the fuck would you name your your company Goop, by the way? I wonder what the story behind that is. That's not a company I want to do business with. I'm just saying, Goop? It doesn't sound good. Anyway, here, Heretic, the brand that supplies the candle, has substantiated the product's performance and safety through industry standard testing. Last month, a similar experience was reported in The Guardian by Jodie Thompson, who won a candle in a work quiz, and the second evening she used it, watched as all hell unleashed. Holy shit, this happened more than once? There's vaginas exploding all over the place. Vagina candles, at least. A few minutes after I lit the candle, it exploded. Flames roared half a meter. Damn, that's like 3 feet? God damn, a candle's doing all a 3 foot fucking... Wait, a meter is 3 feet. So 1.5 feet? 1.5... Well, goddamn, a fucking foot flame off of a candle is pretty fucking big regardless. Even bigger is crazy. But anyway, half a meter off of the jar and bits of molten wax flew out as it fizzled and spat. So so the vagina candle was spitting, or it was squirting wax all over the place. I'm just saying, what the fuck am I reading here? Anyway, we couldn't get near it to blow it out as the flames were so ferocious, and we didn't want to throw water on it for fear of splashing molten wax everywhere. Luckily, I had placed it on concrete at the base of what was once a fireplace. Thankfully, after what seemed like an age, but was probably no more than 5 minutes, the flame subsided, sorry, I can't read today, and I could blow the candle out. The charred jar and melted label were testament to how hot it had become. Currently out of stock, the candle is described as on Goop's site as having, oh wow, this is great. It's described as having a funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scent, I bet, to put us in the mind of fantasy, seduction, and sophisticated warmth. What the fuck? Who came up with a fucking candle? This sounds like a fucking April Fool's joke, but it ain't April. What? This is a real thing, by the way, too. I looked it up. It is out of stock, by the way. I checked, but because if it wasn't, I was totally gonna fucking buy one. But it is out of stock. But there is a candle from this company called "This Smells Like My Vagina." Okay, so let's unpack this real quick. This is what in the hell? This dude up here has lost his fucking mind. Sure, should he be able to say something to them like, "Hey, I mean, he left a black ring on his table." I don't know how expensive this bedside table he has is. I know my bedside tables are pretty fucking cheap, but maybe he could get a little bit of money. It's more of a civil case. I don't even feel like this is a $500 case. The first guy, and it flamed out. It exploded, if you will. The vagina exploded on his on his nightstand, and then burn it down and had left a black ring. I mean, that sucks. And maybe he puts a case forward getting some type of damages, I guess. But $5 million? Holy fuck. If you can get $5 million off of this goddamn candle, I want to get one. I'm going to go buy every fucking one of them I can and just light them all and wait for one of them to blaze and just explode. I'm going to video it, and then I'm going to be like, I'll take 1 million. I don't even need 5 million. I'll just take 1 million for this exploding vagina in my house. I wonder what it smelled like. If the candle smells like somebody's vagina, what is somebody's vagina? How did it put it exactly? Someone's fantasy, sophisticated warmth, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scented vagina candle. What did that smell like when it was burnt to a fucking crisp and charred black? It probably smells like one of the other ones I was talking about a minute ago. But yeah, this guy's lost his fucking mind. There's no way in hell he's gonna get Well, I don't know. I say that. I doubt he's gonna get $5 million off of this. This is more of a not publicity, but just a stunt of some kind. He might get something, but I don't think if he does get $5 million, I'll be blown. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Even if this candle clearly is a fucking problem, because it's happened. This is just in the news. It's happened to more than one person. But at least some of them have an issue. But for fuck's sake, man, it burned a black ring in your nightstand. I mean, I get it. That sucks. Get your nightstand replaced. Tell them replace my fucking nightstand. Give me a little bit extra to shut my fucking mouth. But $5 million? Fucking hell. That's crazy. The woman down here, it doesn't sound like she's really. I think actually in this article, I didn't record that part of it, but they did reach out to her and settle with her and say, hey, well, sorry, here's a gift card or something like that. It wasn't $5 million though. But yeah, $5 million vagina scented candles. What do you guys think? Does this sound like it's a bit much? Do we think that this gentleman in Texas should get $5 million? I mean, everything in Texas, the people in Texas like everything bigger. So, he said, my fucking suit is going to be bigger. I want a lawsuit for $5 million for my vagina candle. So that's I guess, mental distress. He brought it home wanting to smell vagina in his room for 3 fucking hours, and that's not what he got. So he's real fucking distressed about it. I don't know. Vagina candles, though. Yeah, if any of you guys have one or are able to procure one, let me know. I don't really care if it explodes or not. I mean, be careful. I don't want it to explode on you, but I'm more interested in what the fuck does it smell like? I mean, because that description there, gorgeous, sexy, beautifully unexpected scent and fantasy, seduction, and sophisticated warmth. I like the sophisticated warmth part, but all that stuff. What the fuck is that? What does that smell? None of those words evoke smells to me. But anyway, if any of you guys got it, let me know in the comments below or something. Tell me what this is what my vagina smells like candle smells like. Like, better than that description. Anywho, moving on from there, we've got an interesting story here concerning ya boy, George Washington. You know the man, the founding father himself. And I kind of give this one my own little title here, and I'm going to call it George Washington Werewolf Hunter. In the vein of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Of course, I am kidding. Kind of, maybe. Who knows? It might go down that road. But more specifically, we're talking about the one, the only, the regular here on this channel, Zack Snyder. Who doesn't like a good historical film, especially when it's centered on an American icon like George Washington? Zack Snyder sure hopes you do. And if you're someone that isn't necessarily interested in a history lesson on the big screen, then the filmmaker has you covered as well, as he would like to add some mystic elements to the equation. My buddy and I had been thinking about doing a George Washington movie that was all about the whole time from after he leaves New York to crossing the Delaware and the battle with the Hessians, said Snyder, because it kind of turns the tide. They were pretty much done at that point. The Battle of Trenton, and if that hadn't worked out, that was pretty much the end of the line. He's correct there. I know a little bit of my history, and I know that much. He continued, so we talked a lot about doing this movie. There was a lot of cool things, a lot of sort of mystic and mythological things we were going to mess around with. We kind of both got busy, but I love it. It's a cool world. There's some pretty cool things with Masons. Obviously, having a fun idea for a film about George Washington is hardly enough to get a green light from a studio to go off and make it. We don't even know if there's more to it than just a discussion between Snyder and a friend. However, if this historical fiction film is something that he's serious about, it would be an interesting addition to his filmography. And for folks hoping that Snyder will venture into new territory, a fantastical George Washington biopic might be just what he needs. So yeah, this is more of like an idea. He's just talking about, hey, where I'm going forward from here, because, up until recently, he's just been DC all the time. And of course, he just came out with Army of the Dead on Netflix. This sounds like it could be cool if they do it like something in the vein of like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, a real life figure that they add some craziness to about what they do, all the other times. We got all the reports of how they live their life. What did they do all those other times that we didn't hear about? Those times that weren't recorded in history, like Abraham Lincoln apparently was off hunting vampires. So why not? George Washington could have been off hunting werewolves or something. I mean, what happened on that venture from New York, crossing the Delaware and all that into the Battle of Trenton. What transpired? We don't really know. And Zack Snyder is here to tell us. And that could be an interesting take. We're probably a few years away from this if it ever transpires. But I will say that this report does say at the bottom there that if you're hoping for Snyder will venture into new territory, a fantastical George Washington biopic might be just what he needs. I don't really think this would be new territory. This wouldn't be the first time that Snyder has taken a real life event and put his own fantastical twist on it. Well, not his. 300, that was already written. Was it George? Not George Miller. Not Tim Miller. Fuck, I can't remember. Frank Miller. He did 300. That was not his breakout movie, but that was the one that actually made him a household name. 300 was that. It was a real life event, but he put a fantastical spin on it. So the guy clearly is able to do that in a really interesting way. I'd love to see what he would do with George Washington. And me, myself, personally, I really enjoyed Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I know the movie kind of gets bashed on and people don't think super highly of it. I thought it was a great, fun movie. I think it's one of those movies a lot of people hear the name and they're like, no, fuck that. But no, it's a really good time. Go check that out, by the way, if you're looking for just a fun, kind of out there movie. It's absolutely worth your time. And I think a George Washington version of that, maybe not with vampires necessarily, but kind of like a high concept, fantasy, mystical kind of thing, taking this real life character that we all know, or have all heard of, at least here in the States, and even beyond, and just putting this really interesting kind of mystic, clearly fantastical twist on would be a really good time. And Zack Snyder definitely is the filmmaker to be able to do that. I would be really interested to see his take on it. That's all there really is to it. It's just a conversation at this point. It's a conversation he's had with a friend that they've kind of gone a little bit deeper on. So hopefully he doesn't get caught up in Army of the Dead movies for the next 10 years, and he's able at some point over the next couple of years to maybe develop this and make it a thing, because I would be really interested to see it, and it seems like it could be something a bit fresh. Now, speaking of going back and to old things, that was a terrible segue, by the way, but speaking of that, we're going to talk about a property that I have quite the fondness for, that I grew up with and I really love, even though there have been quite a few pitfalls within this property. It has not had the best history, but the first one, the original, the OG, was great, still is great, and absolutely worth checking out. And we got a remake, quite the remake coming for any 80s and some 90s, early 90s, but especially 80s kids out there, or anybody who is a lover of 80s cinema. There's a series that I'm really happy to hear that this is being made, but I'm also happy to hear who is in the talks to be on it, or to be in it. And I'm talking about the one, the only, my absolute man crush. I'm straight as an arrow. I'm not a gay man, but if I was, this would be the guy that I would absolutely thirst over for sure, because he is the man's man. He is my man crush, as I mentioned. Henry Cavill. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are once again on my channel, surprise, surprise, talking about the one, the only, fantabulous Henry Cavill, and how he could possibly be becoming a prince of the universe. And if you got that reference, you know what the fuck I'm talking about before I even say it. For those of you that didn't get it, which is probably most of you, let's read on and see. There can be only one Highlander, but apparently Henry Cavill can be many superheroes. Adding to his growing list of marquee franchises, the star of Man of Steel and Netflix's The Witcher is in negotiations to star in Lionsgate's reboot of The Highlander, the 1986 fantasy adventure film that spawned an entire pop culture ecosystem, including sequels, TV series, tie-in novels, comics, and video games. Chad Stahelski, director of the first John Wick, is directing, with Neil H. Moritz, Josh Davis, and David Leitch producing. When the film first opened, it was a flop, which yes it was, grossing just $5.9 million domestically, but it was so popular on home video that Lambert and Connery starred in a sequel in 1991. That's Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery, by the way. They were the main characters in the movie. And the franchise expanded from there. A reboot has been in various stages of development for over a decade. Directors including Justin Lin and Giancarlo Francesco and stars including Ryan Reynolds and Dave Bautista have all been attached at various points. And that's about all we got. But you know what? I am super fucking stoked to hear that Highlander is coming back. If done right, this could be so awesome. And Henry Cavill could absolutely be awesome in it. The question is, who is he auditioning for? Not auditioning, I guess they're in talks for him going on to it. Knowing what I know about Henry Cavill and how he is very much a child of the 90s, I think he's a child of, but he's really deeply ingrained in that nerd culture and just these kind of, it does not surprise me that he's a fan of Highlander. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, but who would he be? Is this going to be a straight up, like, just retelling, or is it going to be an all new story in the Highlander universe? Because Highlander, the main character was Duncan MacLeod. No, wait, not Duncan. Connor MacLeod. No, wait, was Connor... One of them was in the show, one of them was in the movie. I can never remember. I think it's Connor MacLeod was the movie, Duncan MacLeod was the show, or vice versa. Whichever one it was. Christopher Lambert's character, is he going to be playing that character, the main character? Or will he be playing the very badass bad guy who was played by Clancy Brown, a.k.a. the voice of Mr. Krabs, by the way. Back in the day, Krogan, that's on fucking Mass Effect. Kragan. I think it's the Kragan. I can't remember. I haven't seen Highlander in a long time. I think it's the Kragan. It's the bad guys. They're all these immortals that the only way to kill them, if you haven't seen Highlander, they're these immortals that the only way to kill them is to behead them. And they will periodically get in these sword battles throughout, history and throughout the years, and two of them will square off, and if they take the other one's head, they gain all their powers. And the whole saying is there can be only one, meaning inevitably whenever they meet they have to fight. And only one can be left standing. They inevitably are going to get to the last one, and that one will be granted all the power in the universe. They'll be Prince of the Universe. One of the cool thing about the Princess of the Universe thing that I keep saying, not princess, but princes of the universe, is a Queen reference, because Queen did the entire soundtrack for the movie, and it is fucking awesome. And their song Princes of the Universe is kind of the theme song for the thing. They got a lot of other songs in it too, but yeah, the movie's fucking awesome. It's very 80s for sure, but it's like that kind of a Cobra with Sylvester Stallone-esque 80s, that more hardcore gritty 80s. That's what Highlander was. It's really cool. You don't necessarily need to watch the sequels, just watch the first one, because as soon as the second one popped around, they really got out there with that shit. It got kind of fucking crazy. But the first Highlander, and I never really got into the TV show, but the first Highlander was great. Now, the TV show must have been pretty good too, because it had a huge following and it went on for years and years. And maybe that's where Henry Cavill picked it up, because I think that was in the 90s. I'm pretty sure it was the 90s, or at least bled over into the 90s. And I think, what was that guy's name? Famous B-movie actor was in it. Adrian... I can't remember his name, but anyway... don't watch the sequel, because they get really fucking weird and go out there and talk about aliens and all kind of shit. Just stick with the original Highlander. That's what it sounds like they're trying to do here, and I'm really hyped about that, and I'm really hyped that Henry Cavill's going to be in it, but I am curious as to who's he going to play. Henry Cavill, typically, with the exception of Mission Impossible Fallout, with the exception of that movie, he usually plays the good guy. That's the only time he did the bad guy. He did great in that, by the way. I would be interested, will he be playing the bad guy or the good guy in this? Who knows? Most likely the good guy. Let's be real. It's Henry Cavill. But I'd take it. Henry Cavill, I'll take all the Henry Cavill you want to give me. And I'll take all the Highlander you want to give me. Hopefully this is cool. Hopefully, perfect world, I would love to see them still have the Queen soundtrack, because the soundtrack to the original Highlander is as epic and iconic as the movie itself. You can't have Highlander, the original movie, without the Queen soundtrack. It just is. It's a character unto itself. So it would be awesome if they at least incorporate that soundtrack into this new movie somehow, some way. I know Queen's not really thinking. There's a few of them left, or they may all be left. You know, Freddie Mercury obviously is not with us anymore, but so Queen is more or less disbanded. But I would love to see them incorporate some of that Queen music from the old one, at least somewhat, into this new movie. We'll find out. I like everybody who's involved here. We got the director of the original John Wick, of course, Henry Cavill. Looking forward to this. It sounds like these guys are all headed in the right direction. Ryan Reynolds at one point was involved. I wouldn't mind seeing him in it too. I really like Ryan Reynolds. But Highlander is coming back. I'm really excited. Let me know if you're excited in the comments below. I don't know how you couldn't be. Henry Cavill's in it. Why the fuck wouldn't you be excited? And I mean, it's Highlander, and Highlander's pretty fucking awesome. Now, moving on from that great news there, we're just moving on along today. We got another big actor who I'm a fan of, who's making a new, taking new steps, taking on a new endeavor. And I'm talking about the one, the only Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he is finally, surprisingly enough, coming to the small screen. He has, up to this point, never been, I'm not going to say he's never been on a TV show, but he's never, like, starred in a TV show, had a TV show. Well, that's all about to change. Arnold Schwarzenegger's first foray on the small screen will be on Netflix, surprisingly enough. The untitled project stars Schwarzenegger and Monica Barbaro, she is in Top Gun Maverick and Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I think she was the daughter in Army of the Dead, the young lady. I'm not sure. As a father and daughter duo who learned that they're each secretly been working as CIA operatives for years, they realize their entire relationship has been a lie, and they truly don't know one another at all. Forced to team up as partners, our series tackles universal family dynamics set against a global backdrop of spies, fantastic action, and humor. If this is all sounding familiar to you, don't worry, you're not the only one. We're going to touch on it. Netflix has ordered 8 60-minute episodes of the global spy adventure, which marks Schwarzenegger's first ever TV project, but he appears to be in good hands with Nick Santoro at the helm. Santoro, who created the series and acts as showrunner and executive producer, is best known for Scorpion on CBS. I've never heard of Scorpion. I don't know what that is, but anyway, I guess it's a good thing they're saying it is. And is slated to be showrunner on the Jack Reacher series with Skydance that Skydance has in the works at Amazon. Now, I have heard of Jack Reacher. That's a big one. Schwarzenegger seems excited for the project, saying in a statement, I guess I'll say this in a Schwarzenegger voice, my terrible Schwarzenegger voice, by the way. Fans from all over the world have been asking me for a wild ride like this for years, and now they're finally going to get it because of our great partners at Skydance and Netflix. I'm beyond pumped to start work on the show with Nick and Monica and the whole team. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, yeah, Schwarzenegger's hyped. I guess I am, but I cannot... First of all, I can't be the only one who made this comparison, but I cannot get away from when I read this. What I am reading, because it's not titled yet, is True Lies, the TV show. This is fucking the updated version of True Lies. This is what... If they were going to update True Lies to like now, not like back in the 90s, if they were going to do a sequel, this is what it would be. Schwarzenegger still being, you know, the spy, and then finding out his daughter became a spy too, or something like that. That would totally fucking work. This is what it should... Why is this not True Lies? Oddly enough, I did a story, man, it's been some months back now. They're doing a True Lies TV show. But as far as I know, Schwarzenegger is not involved in that. James Cameron is only involved in, like, I think maybe he was involved in like an executive producer. I can't remember, but this is fucking True Lies. That's all this is. What the hell? I mean, that's not a bad thing. I love True Lies, and this would, if they had said that, hey, True Lies is coming, Schwarzenegger's going to be in it, or True Lies 2, Schwarzenegger's going to be in it, and here's the basic synopsis that his daughter's a spy, he's a spy, and they find out they're spies. Oh, you know what? That works. I'm cool with that. Bring back, what's her name? Alyssa Dishu, whatever. What was her name? I can't remember her name. The daughter, and Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, if she's willing to. that could be fun. That could be really cool. But yeah, man, I cannot help but see the parallels here between these two shows. I'm wondering if this is going to be James Cameron-less True Lies, if that's all they're trying to do here, because man, there's a lot of similarities to these two. Now, I mean, it might, because it says fantastic action and humor, and that's what True Lies was. It was kind of an action comedy. So if you're not, this is definitely inspired by True Lies, especially putting Schwarzenegger in the role too. I mean, come on. I don't want to say rip off, but because I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it'll be a totally different tone. Maybe when I see it, I'll be like, oh, no, that's not True Lies at all. But just reading this, it seems like fucking True Lies the show. But it's not True Lies the show because that's going on somewhere else. I don't know. But I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's for sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in his first foray into television. And I loved him in True Lies. And this sounds like True Lies Light or, True Lies Walmart edition or something. I don't know. I hate to say that. That might be downplayed. The actual True Lies show, I actually didn't have a lot of faith in. So maybe that one will be the shit version, and this will be the one that once it comes out, we'll all say, yeah, that show should just be called True Lies, and the main character played by Arnold Schwarzenegger should be named Harry Tasker instead of whatever they end up naming him. But yeah, not a big story. It's happening. It's coming. Netflix moves quick with their shows. When they greenlight something, and they get it going, with the exception of The Witcher. It seems like they can't get that shit going. And the fourth season of what's that show? Stranger Things. With the exception of those two, they typically move pretty quick with their projects. So I think we'll probably see this fairly soon, within the next year. It looks like 8 60-minute episodes. So hey, we're going to get 8 hours of Schwarzenegger on TV, on Netflix, in a year or so. Maybe less. I don't know. I don't know if they're filming this yet or not. It doesn't sound like it. But looking forward to that. It seems like a cool premise. I would be much, if it said, hey, Netflix is doing a True Lies TV show, and I would be like, hell yes, that's awesome. This just makes me, I'm not sure. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll wait and see. I want to see what the vibe of it is. I want to see what vibe they're going for and how that's going to work out. Sorry, I keep coughing and clearing my throat, but I'm sick. I've been sick for the past few days, and I'm just getting over it. And yeah, it's kind of messing with my throat and all this talking. This is the most talking I've done in the past few days. So I apologize for that. But yeah, Schwarzenegger, TV, True Lies knockoff, possibly. Could be awesome, could not. Let me know if you guys are interested. I'll definitely keep an ear out for it, and hopefully we'll hear some more about it and at least get some type of first look or something to give us an idea of what this show is going to be all about. So, last story of the night. Now, this is one that I myself admittedly am not really excited for, because this just isn't my thing, and I typically don't report on things here on this show that aren't my thing. That I pick stories that interest me, and hopefully my audience is interested in the same things as me. That's why they subscribe, that's why they listen, because of my interest. Our interests align. This one isn't mine, but I do know that many of my viewers and or listeners, and many people out there, in fact, have an interest in this. This is where I'm the odd man out. This just isn't my thing. I'm well aware of it, but it just isn't my thing. And this is something that people have been losing their fucking minds over. So let's talk about it real quick. I'm talking about the arrival of a movie, a sequel. It's been long in the works, and people are finally getting it. And I'm really happy for those people. And that's Hocus Pocus 2. Sorry, that wasn't me choking because of Hocus Pocus 2. That was because of my sickness. But anyway, the steadily growing fandom has been asking for a sequel to Hocus Pocus 2 for years now. And by 2019, Disney was ready to admit that, yes, a sequel was on the way. But curiously, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, who played the witches, the Sanderson sisters, remained uninvolved. Thankfully, everyone can breathe easy now, knowing that Midler, Parker, and Najimy, I feel like I'm saying her name all wrong, but anyway, Najimy Najimy are all officially signed on. They're all coming back now. Yay! When Hocus Pocus 2 was first announced, Adam Shankman was set to direct. I think he was the director of the original. I could be wrong. But Shankman is currently making the Enchanted sequel, Disenchanted. That's original. So directing duties have been handed over to Anne Fletcher of 27 Dresses. Shankman will remain an executive producer on Hocus Pocus 2. As heartbroken as I am that I won't be able to direct my friends Bet, Sarah Jessica, and Kathy in what is sure to be nothing short of a major event for Disney Plus due to scheduling conflicts, I couldn't be more pleased to be handing over the reins to Anne, who has brought so much laughter and joy into people's lives with her previous work. Shankman said, I am still grateful and proud to help shepherd this ingenious project as executive producer alongside producer Lynn Harris, whom I've loved and admired as a colleague and friend since she helped me get the job choreographing Boogie Nights. I love that Boogie Nights shows up in a story about Hocus Pocus 2. Moving on. Anne Fletcher added, now more than ever, people need to laugh. We should be laughing every day, and there is so much fun to be had with these three unbelievable women playing delicious characters from such a beloved film. I am so grateful to be able to play a part in bringing these witches back to life, and to be working with my friends at Disney again makes it all the more special. This is a movie for everyone, from the fans who grew up with the first film to the next generation of viewers, and I can't wait to get started in Hocus Pocus 2. We got a plot synopsis already. 3 young women accidentally bring the Sanderson sisters back to modern-day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child-hungry witches from wreaking Jesus Christ, I can't read. Wreaking a new kind of havoc on the world. Disney says the film will premiere on Disney Plus in 2022, but doesn't list a specific date. However, on Twitter, Bette Midler said, we can expect to see the film in fall 2022, so it's probably safe to assume it'll arrive sometime around Halloween. I'm sure it will. Hocus Pocus is a big Halloween movie. That's actually, as the story said, and I didn't know that much, that's where the movie found its life, was in Halloween showings and reshowings, and really people that grew up with the movie and it came out. I think that's my problem. When it came out, I believe it came out in 1996. 1996, 97, somewhere in there. Mid to late 90s. You gotta understand, I was an older teenager. I was 17, give or take, when this movie came out. Hocus Pocus was not on my radar. I was aware of it. I mean, I loved movies back then even. I knew about it. I was aware of it. I saw it at some point. But I was too old to be in the demographic that Hocus Pocus was for. And it just didn't appeal to me at that point. It came across to me, 17-year-old me, as like a Disney Channel movie. It wasn't a Disney Channel movie. It went to theaters briefly, but that's how it came across to me. It was like a Disney Channel movie that I didn't want nothing to do with. And I was too young, if you will, to appreciate it from an adult's perspective. Like now, if that movie came out and I watched it with my kids, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, haha, that's cute. Now I look at it though and I'm like, super 90s, like cheezo, super mid to late 90s Disney Channel 90s movie, because that's what it is. It is that. And I get a bit of nostalgia for those kind of movies, like that kind of look and feel, because I did grow up then, but I don't get as much as some people. I get a lot of people grew up with this movie, especially since it did find second life on home video. It just didn't for me. A lot of people love this movie though, and I'm really happy you guys are finally getting it. So you should be hyped. I mean, I don't really have much more to say about the movie beyond that. It's just not my thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll really enjoy this one. I do have kids. My wife loves this movie. Granted, she's 11 years younger than me, so she did grow up with this movie. She was a child when this movie came out. So, we met when we were adults, by the way. But, so she has an affinity for it. Some of my kids like it. and maybe the second one will come out and I'll be like, oh yeah, look, that's cute, I kind of like that, watch it with my kids kind of situation. But as of right now, Hocus Pocus, just we watched it this past Halloween. It was on in the background and I was just kind of like, yeah, okay. It doesn't have that, it doesn't bring the feels back for me. I don't have that nostalgic connection to it. But hey, I appreciate that other people do, and I think it's great that you guys are finally getting the sequel that you've been wanting so long. I got Highlander from the previous story. You got Hocus Pocus. Good for you. So, that everybody's happy, right? This is a great week. Everybody's happy. Hell, Keven Spacey's even getting movie roles now. Everybody's having a good week. But Hocus Pocus 2, if you're excited, let me know in the comments below. And there's not much to it. Not much more to it. About a year and a half away. It says 2022 fall, so you're looking at Halloween 2022. Yeah, year and a half. You're going to get that Hocus Pocus goodness on Disney Plus or other places you can acquire the movie. Not a big Disney Plus fan myself, but anywho, who knows? Year and a half, Disney Plus might be the biggest fucking streaming on the planet. That is about all. Not about all. That is all I've got on the news front. Yeah, of course, there was other news this week. There was more stuff about the whole WB buyout by Discovery and all that stuff. I covered some of that last week. Didn't feel like I wanted to get into it. A lot of that stuff's still up in the air too, because it is at this point not finalized. It won't be finalized until next year. It's kind of like the whole Microsoft Bethesda buyout thing where, they announced it's going to happen, but it hadn't happened yet. So nothing is really going to happen as a result of that whole buyout until later on. Like legally, that's how these things go. So I didn't really want to cover that anymore because they can't say what's going to happen as a result of it beyond they're going to own us. They can't until they are bought. Money has exchanged hands, contracts have been signed, and like the FCC, I think it is the FCC, I don't know, but government organizations have to sign off on it and say, yeah, it's okay for you to do this. Until all that has happened, they can't really say their plans because it could affect things or some investors and all that, I guess. But so I didn't get into that. We did have a couple of deaths this week. James Gordon. See, I don't have him in front of me. And Mooney, the guy from In Living Color. He wrote for Richard Pryor and stuff like that. Two great actors who will be missed. A couple other little things going on. I did have a hard time sifting through the stories. I saw a lot of stories. I was like, ooh, I want to talk about that. And I get into it and it started going into some depressing shit, every one of them. I had like 20 something stories that I had picked. This one to pick from. And then as I went through them, I'd be reading them and all of them just de-evolved into some shit about something depressing or political or terrible happening in the world. Or I was like, I know, I don't want any of that. Now just X out of it. These were the ones that I was left with. But hey, these are the stories I'm interested in. Those are the kind of stories I'm interested in. Ones that just step away from all that shit, except for the Keven Spacey thing. But I only reported on that because, wow, he's actually coming back, or he's trying to. So yeah, that's the weekend. That's this week's news that I cared about, and hopefully you do too. Now, apart from that, of course, we have this week's releases, as is apparently being a regular thing. I've said that the past few weeks. I think next week we actually do have some Wednesday releases, but no major Wednesday releases this May 26th. But on Friday, May 28th, this is a big Friday. We have coming out to theaters and some on streaming, Cruella with Emma Stone. Not me myself personally, not really looking forward to that one. I'll give it a shot at some point, I guess, but it hasn't piqued my interest. I look at it and I'm like, maybe. We'll see. The trailers haven't done it for me though. A Quiet Place Part 2, which that's gonna be fucking huge. I think that movie's gonna be really big. Not F9 big or Fast 9 big, but I think Quiet Place Part 2 is gonna do very well. Especially since that one is not coming, definitely not out the gate, but it's only in theaters for like a while. I think it's like taking the traditional route. It may be going to, Peacock or Paramount Plus, whatever they're calling it right now. It may go there eventually, maybe a little bit faster than usual, but it's going to be in theaters only for quite a while. So the only place people can see that is in theaters. So there's that there. But let's see. We have American Traitor, The Trial of Axis Sally. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of any of that. I don't know if that's a documentary or what. I know nothing about that. Endangered Species, which I have heard of that. I don't know much about it, but it's supposed to be something. Don't know if it's any good. And Funhouse. Now, Funhouse I do know about, because Funhouse I've already seen and I've already reviewed. I reviewed that movie like 6 months ago. It was in the summer. No, it hasn't been more than 6 months ago. We're in May now. It was like 8-9 months ago. I want to say it was like in August. It's been a while back. Check out my review of Funhouse from late in 2020 or mid 2020. I saw that movie back then. I got a screener of it way back when, and apparently it is just now finally coming out. I want to say it was out in maybe another country or something like that. I don't know. It was an independent film. It was a really entertaining flick. It's an interesting flick. It's got the brother of Pennywise. What's his name? You know, Skarsgård. It's got one of the Skarsgård brothers in it. One of the younger ones. Not Peter. What's his name? I can't remember. Pennywise, his younger brother's in it. You can definitely, when you see him, you're like, yep, that's him. You know it. They look almost identical. He just looks a bit younger. But yeah, Funhouse, interesting flick. It's about some people that are doing like a social media like TV show where they're stuck in this house and they have to kill people or kill each other or something. I can't remember all the specifics, but this is an interesting flick. I really enjoyed it. Talked to the filmmaker briefly about my review and some of the things that, you know, they were trying to do and wanted to do, and, you know, budgetary constraints. Given what they had, they did a fantastic job with it. I thought it was a really entertaining flick. Definitely check that out when it comes to, I'm assuming, streaming platforms. It may be coming out on disc, but it's probably going to be available streaming now finally. So yeah, that's the releases for this week. Beyond that, I also have a couple of trailers I wanted to take a look at this week too, per usual. One of which, this is like the third or fourth week in a row that new trailers have come out the day that I'm recording. That just, up to this point, we're on episode 19 now. Up to this point, it's always like they come out the day after. So I go like a week without having the new trailers. I've got like week-old trailers that I'm doing reactions to on the show. But no, this is like the third or fourth week in a row where the big new trailers come out the day that I'm recording. And today, we got a new trailer for The Eternals, the new Marvel flick that I know absolutely nothing about except for that Angelina Jolie's in it. And we got a little clip, like a couple of not pictures, but a couple of frames of footage, if you will, in that Marvel Marvel Universe Phase 4 trailer that came out a few weeks back. This is the actual full trailer, so this will be interesting. So yeah, let's take a look and see, because I know nothing about this. I have not seen it yet. I've seen a lot of people putting reactions up, but I have not watched any of those reactions. I don't want anything to tarnish. All I know about the Eternals is it is Marvel, and Angelina Jolie's in it, and that's about it. So let's take a look at this trailer and see what we think. So here we go with the trailer for Marvel's The Eternals. Okay. Is this like the past? Oh yeah, this is like long ago. Oh wow! What is that? Is that like the monolith from 2001?
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Wait, is this like what's that one? The show that Marvel had. Show about the people that live on the moon. Are they related to them?
We have watched and guided. We have helped them progress.
So what are they?
And seen them accomplish wonders.
Are they like our
Throughout
gods or something?
Years, we have never interfered. kill.
Was that Ezra Miller? Yeah, they never interfered, including when that whole Thanos snap thing happened, huh? Hey, that was Jon Snow.
You said
Okay.
Thank you for this.
Oh, you're welcome.
So now that Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
So, is that
I
Bucky?
could lead them.
Oh no, that's not Bucky. Okay. So, The Eternals, November 2021. That's this year. Yeah, that didn't really do it for me. That didn't. I mean, it didn't. Maybe if I knew more about the Eternals, I would be more excited. But I don't know anything about them. I'm like, I'm probably the. I'm not gonna say target. I'm not the target audience actually, but I mean, are the Eternals really that big of a deal in the Marvel world? Not like what they're capable of, but like popularity. I mean, I've never heard of them. I mean, I'm not totally disconnected from comic books and characters and stuff. I know about plenty of comic book characters that don't have MCU movies or movies period. And I want to say I've like heard of the Eternals, but that might just be because they've been talking about the Eternals coming for so long, since like, well, for a few years now they've been talking about the Eternals. I don't know anything about them, so maybe that's why it didn't do it for me. I don't know. Or maybe the movie just doesn't look that exciting. I mean, I guess the idea of these, I guess they're aliens, alien beings of sorts, coming and kind of being here all along. I mean, that's not a new story. We've gotten that in the past plenty of times. That could be interesting, and maybe if they were, you know, it said that they were guiding us all the way, so maybe they're viewed as gods or something like that. I mean, they could really get into some interesting stuff there. I don't think Disney and the MCU have the balls to really get, like, literally balls deep into that type of interesting storytelling as far as, like, hey, your gods are based on us and that whole thing. I don't think that Disney wants to take those kind of chances. That would be interesting. I guarantee that's not where this movie's going. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It didn't do much for me. I am wondering, you know, this is another one of those kind of the Captain Marvel question, which she kind of sort of had a reason they kind of sort of gave, but where the fuck I mean, if they're so great, where the fuck were you when the snap happened? And did some of these people snap out of existence? Because, you know, Immortals or Eternals or not, when Thanos did the snap, it was half of all life in the universe, regardless of what that life was. So did some of these people go away? Where were they? Everybody else, for 5 fucking years this thing happened. Did they just stay on this island or whatever the fuck they're on and just keep to themselves and say, you know, this you know, universe-ending event is going on and the Mad Titans running around. Yeah, we'll get to that later. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm going to need some more. I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed. They clearly are in that timeline because he mentioned, you know, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark being gone. So they were around when the blip happened, I think is what they call it. I hate that. The snap. I like the snap. But whatever. When Thanos did his thing, when Endgame and Infinity War and all that was going on, they were around. They're being purported as like these badasses. Where the fuck was you at? Why didn't you do something? And also, this doesn't really tell me anything. What are they totally separate from everybody else? Is the whole movie going to be about them being separate from all the other Avengers, which is fine. But the MCU movies have become more and more connected in, you know, influencing each other. Where do these guys play in? What relevance are they going to play? Are they so powerful that like nobody can, stand against them or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get much from this trailer, honestly, and it didn't really do much for me, which admittedly kind of feeds into my not plan, but my hesitation about the MCU moving forward, or the Phase 4, and about how it seems a bit directionless at this point. Or it's not directionless, but it seems like they are wanting to go a different direction than the MCU has been going for up until Endgame, the 11 years that led up to that. That was a really good run for the most part. They had a couple of duds here or there, but for the most part, it was a really good run. It wasn't necessarily thought out until later on in the process. I don't care what anybody says, but they did a really good job of assimilating things that happened in the past. I think they had like short-term visions while making the early MCU, but they were able to develop that into long-term vision and make it all work out good. That's not their plan anymore. Their plan, they flat out said, no, we are not looking to have like a big 11-year run and then have like a big event movie. They're wanting to have more like a 1 to 2 year run of like story arc, and then have an event movie for that 1 to 2 years. And that's probably why this year, I mean, the pandemic definitely has a hand to play in this year's release schedule. But look at the end of this year, man. Every month a new MCU movie's coming out. It's kind of ridiculous, or scheduled at least. It's kind of ridiculous. All their movies are coming out this year. Except for, I mean, they got like a couple that aren't announced, or they're announced, but they're not like, we don't have trailers for, they aren't coming yet this year. But there's a shit ton of these MCU movies coming out. They're going to be like hitting us over the fucking head with them. And I think that's what they're going to want to do. Disney is wanting to crank these out quicker, make shit tons of money on all of them, and then have an event, an in-game-esque movie quicker, because they're wanting to get the money. It's all about money. If you don't think it is, it is. At the end of the day, that all aside, this trailer didn't really do anything for me. I ain't gonna lie. I have given Marvel, and the MCU rather, a lot of faith over the years, but that faith in the past year or two has started to wane, especially with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just didn't do it for me. Wasn't hype on that. Still haven't seen WandaVision. That seems like a very interesting show, and I am looking forward to Loki. But the what was the Tom Holland Spider No Way Home, Nowhere Home, whatever the fuck, the one where he's in Europe. I mean, that one was okay. It was enjoyable. It had a really cool villain, and the end of it, the last parts of it were really cool with not Mephisto. What is that guy's name? The guy, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. That whole sequence was really cool. I really enjoyed that. But really, there's not been like a banger that's come out. I mean, that great MCU movies. I mean, they're enjoyable. I think they'll probably continue to be fairly enjoyable. This one looks kind of bland, but once again, this is more, it says official, well, yeah, teaser. See, it says teaser trailer. This is a teaser, so maybe I can't judge it too hard, but man, I would have done something else with the teaser. I mean, it's some neat imagery of like that ship and everything, but beyond that ship kind of showing up and doing that whole thing, that was intriguing. Everything else was just kind of, okay, great. I don't really, none of it, okay, they have been here through the years, I guess. I guess? Sure? I don't know. Once again, I don't know anything about the Eternals. So I'm not really, I don't come into it with any preconceived notions, but I also don't come into it with any expectations. So that trailer, maybe if you're an Eternals fan, that just blew your fucking mind, but for me, it didn't do much for me. So beyond that little ditty, I have one more trailer. Now this is one, I was only going to have this one trailer today, but this next trailer was one that I kind of heard of last minute. It's a fairly new trailer, but I wasn't aware of this series, this book series that this movie, or movies rather, are based on. Nor was I aware that these movies were coming, but the tagline of it all kind of intrigued me. And that tagline was, it's a trilogy of films that are all coming out within a month of each other called Fear Street. Now, what's interesting about these is they are all based on books made by R.L. Stine, aka the Goosebumps guy. However, this is adult R.L. Stine. This is not his, Goosebumps are all like kids' tales and stuff like that, more kid-friendly horror. These are apparently R-rated hardcore horror that he wrote as well. And I thought, well, that'd be neat. I'm familiar with some of the Goosebumps stuff. They were fairly new when I was a bit younger, much like the Hocus Pocus thing. I was a little bit older when they came out, so not as interested, but some of my kids, as they were younger, I was familiar with them that way, and also TV shows, and I think they made some movies and stuff like that. So that intrigued me. I was like, okay, what's R.L. Stine? What's an R-rated R-rated Goosebumps? What's that like? Well, apparently they're releasing 3 movies in this Fear Street compilation to Netflix, I believe it is. We'll see here in just a minute. But they're releasing these 3 movies, one every month starting this summer. But let's see, it'll show us here. I have not watched this yet. It might be total garbage, I don't know. But we're going to check it out and see. The thumbnail looks kind of spooky. But let's check out Fear Street, the film trilogy event for official teaser for Netflix. This is a teaser as well, so we might not get a lot. This isn't a long trailer, but let's check it out and see what R.L. Stine has in store for us in the R-rated universe.
We're all cursed. The witch is real. She put a curse on Shady's side.
She's been possessing people, turning them into killers to take revenge on the town.
Take revenge on the
Happens
town.
to Shady side over and over.
300 years in the making.
You can't stop her.
Holy shit.
Your best chance is to run from this place.
Tell me we get more than that. Come on. You like scary movies?
Hello?
Ooh. Part 1, 1994. Part 2, 1978. Okay. Oh, that was pretty cool. 1666. Oh, okay. They're all take place in a different 3 weeks. 3 weeks, not much. July 2nd through the 6th. Oh, well, that's neat. Okay. I mean, right on. Once again, that was much like the last one, that was a teaser. But you know what? That teaser was shorter than the one we had for the Eternals. And honestly, while it didn't show me much, it did more for me than the Eternals one did. So I think that could be cool. See, that's how you do a teaser right there. You can tease it. You don't have to show a whole lot, but you can show something compelling, and that's what they did there. I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool, man. Yeah. I mean, it looks like they're doing, I guess, I don't know if each I don't know if they're film. They're all films. I don't know if each movie is just going to be called, 1994, 1968, and 1666, something like that. I don't know if that's going to be the name of the movies individually, or if they're all just called Fear Street with a year. I don't know, whatever. They're all taking place in these 3 different distinct years, one of them way back. I guess that's what they meant by the 300 years in the making thing. But, yeah, that's interesting. See, that's how you do it. That's how you do a teaser. You show me just enough to get me interested, not that shit that they showed with the other one. You show me some cool little imagery to get me saying, oh yeah, I want to see that, and it's on Netflix. I mean, who the hell doesn't have Netflix? So I'll definitely check that out. And R-rated, because R.L. Stine has always been, in my mind at least, just kid friendly, PG-esque, horror for kids. So it's kind of neat to say, okay, this guy who's been known for decades now for horror for kids made adult horror. Apparently he wrote, this is a well-known adult book series. I've never heard of it. This is the first I've heard of it. So I guess it's already been out there. He did this a while back, and now they're making a movie of it. So I'm interested to see is it still going to have those same similar. I wonder if we'll be able to watch this and say, yeah, this is R.L. Stine. Me being not as familiar directly with every bit of his work as maybe some of my younger viewers may have been, younger compared to me, I might not be able to pick it out. But I am curious when this comes out in 2 months now, I guess. Or May, yeah, July 2nd, I think it said it was. I would be interested to see if some of you guys who are more familiar with the Goosebumps series of books, if when it comes out, if you can look at this and say, yeah, it is like Goosebumps R-rated. Not just a horror R-rated, but this is, I see R.L. Stine's writing style and his story style in this movie, but for an adult audience. I think that would be neat. I am curious if that's the direction that he went with it, and they're gonna go with it. I don't know, but yeah. So Fear Street. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's horror, and not an anthology, I guess. This is a film trilogy event, so 3 different movies. I'm guessing they're all full movies. It's not going to be like short stories or anything. It made it sound as if they're all 3 going to be movies that are going to come out 3 weeks apart from each other. So that's pretty cool. That's an interesting way to do it too, to release them week by week. It did say 3 stories or 3 movies, 1 story. So I am curious. While it did look like they were very different in what it showed, I mean, the little that it did show, I'm curious if are they all connected somehow beyond being written by R.L. Stine, or how are they connected? How is it one story? I'm curious to know how that's going to go down. I'm definitely going to check this out, though. I mean, coming to Netflix, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't anybody? Everybody's got Netflix. So I'm interested to check this out. It looked pretty good. I like me a good horror flick, especially ones that take place in the 90s one. I liked the look there. It had a little Stranger Things vibe going, even though Stranger Things was in the 80s, but that nostalgia of my childhood. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. But so I'm interested in checking this out. If anybody else out there has actually read the book series that this is based on, let me know. Is this a good book series? I mean, apparently it's a popular one. It says best-selling. I don't know. Every time they put a movie is made from a book, it always says from the best-selling book. I'm like, God damn, there's a lot of fucking best-selling books out there. But I would be curious to hear from one of you guys, one of my viewers and or listeners, who is more familiar with the Fear Street book series that this is based on. Are they good? I mean, did it deserve a movie? And is there like an overarching, I'm assuming this is a book series, so each of these movies will be based on a book. Is there an overarching story that connects all the books together? Because that's kind of, the trailer led me to believe that this is going to be one, different stories that are all going to tie together somehow. I don't know. Maybe I read into that all wrong, but either way, we'll find out here shortly on July 2nd when the first one comes out, and I'll definitely be there to check it out. Whether I'll review it or not, I don't know, but I will absolutely watch it and let you guys know what I thought right here on the show. Alrighty, everybody, that will do it for the trailers this week. So we've done the news, we've done the releases, we've done the trailers. The only thing left now is for me to tell you what's coming up on the channel. As I said at the top of the show, I did this morning, as of the recording of this video, or the premiere of this video, released my Fast and Furious 9 review, early review. Check that out. Know anyone who is wondering. I know some people have seen it and had like an embargo that they had to sign, and others have not. I did not, but granted, I saw it, as I mentioned, in a capacity that I was invited to come in and view it as others were. And like I said, I had to sit in the back of the theater. Like that's what I had to do with Mortal Kombat too, by the way. But I don't care. Whatever. I got to go see it. I had to go at 1 o'clock in the morning, or 1:30 in the morning yesterday, to see this movie at a screening, I guess it was a private screening, but there was probably about, I don't know, 15 to 20 people, probably about 15 people in there, and they were having a great time with it too. I mean, they all knew each other, they all worked together, so these 15 people that were in there A couple of which I knew, but I'm told when I go to these things to kind of keep my, stay back, keep my distance, because I'm not supposed to be there. But I was told, or they all seemed like they were having a great time with it as well. I had a great time with it. Check it out. And when the movie does become available in your market, wherever that may be here in the States, it's the 25th of June. I suggest going and checking it out on the big screen. This is a movie that I really enjoyed seeing in theaters. I mean, that's not to say it wouldn't be fun at home, I assume, but it's just such a big, bombastic flick. It's worth going to the movies and checking out, especially if you're a fan. If you're not a fan of the Fast and the Furious, this movie's not going to change your mind, so don't worry about it. But if you're a fan of the previous movies and you just like good popcorn, ridiculous fun, it's one worth going and checking out. Now, beyond that, coming up this week, of course, as I've been advertising, I have, and I swear I am working on it. I just keep hitting snags, but I'm getting closer and closer to it being completed. My all and top 10 video game movies ranked videos finally coming out, so I can finally get past this video game movie series and be done with it and move on to my comic book movie review series, which that will be kicking off as soon as those two videos, the all video game movies ranked and the top 10 video game movies ever made ranked. Once those two videos come out and are done, I will be starting that comic book movie review series every Wednesday, and the first movie will be Batman 1966, the Adam West one. But that's not this week. But beyond those little series I have going on, I also have a review for Great White, a new shark movie in the vein of Jaws coming out this week. Also, A Quiet Place 2. I'm going to see that this weekend. I didn't get to see this one early, so there'll probably be a ton of other reviews are already out. Other reviews are already out before mine, but I will be putting my own review out. I might do a review for A Quiet Place 1. We'll see how that shakes out. It's not looking good at this point. I had another movie come and jump in that we'll talk about here in just a minute that I really wanted to talk about, and it took the spot I had set aside for A Quiet Place 1. And actually, when I went to shoot that review, I decided to do this other one instead. Now, the movie I'm talking about that I did instead is a movie that was suggested to me by one of my viewers, and I'm so happy that they did for a multitude of reasons. And you can check that one out Wednesday morning. And that would be for a totally insane movie called Fried Berry. Yeah, just watch the review and don't jump right into that movie. Watch the review and see what I have to say about it, and then decide if you want to go from there, because this movie's not going to be for everybody, but it's a odd movie, that's for damn sure. I also have a review of The Dry with Eric Bana, the original Hulk, coming out this week, and more. I got some other ones coming, but those are the ones that are right here coming out soon this week that you can look forward to. Also, tomorrow night, as of the premiere of this show, I have my Retro Wednesday of a new game called The World After. It is a full motion video game. It's been a while since we did one of those. I'm not getting back into it. I just played so many of them that we don't have many left to play. This is a full motion video game. It is like an interactive movie. It is a bit of a point and click adventure as well, I've been told. I've not played this game. This game was actually sent to me by the developer. First time that's ever happened. I get movie screeners sent to me, but this is the first time a game has been sent to me. The developer of this game, I can't remember their name right now, but they sent this code to me. The game just came out, and they said that they had seen my stream, or at least video of me playing all these full motion video games, and thought that I would enjoy this, and asked if I would take a look at it. So tomorrow night I will be playing The World After. It is a neat little FMV game that takes place during a pandemic. I don't think it's our pandemic, but I think it's supposed to be reminiscent of the pandemic that we're in. But it takes place in that, but it's not about that. It's about some Judging by the trailer, it's about some weird shit, so we're going to find out. But it is a full motion video game, and that is my jam, and we will be playing that tomorrow night on Retro Wednesday. If it's like many other full motion video games I played here on Retro Wednesday, then we'll probably be able to play it all the way to completion. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we can see the end of this thing. And that's it. Beyond that, guys, just check out the audio version of this podcast on all major podcasting platforms. If it does not show up on your podcasting platform of choice, shoot me a message on Twitter or YouTube. Most likely Twitter, DM me there. At RedNeville2 is my handle there, or Jacob Anders Reviews. And let me know. Say, hey, it's not on whatever this is, Podbean or whatever that I like, and I can get it on there. I can get it on wherever I want. It's not really that hard, but it is on all the major ones: iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, all the big ones, Amazon. It's on all those, so you can check it out there. Just search for JARcast Movie Podcast or Jacob Anders Reviews or whatever, but check it out there. And that's the end of the show, ladies and jelly spoons. That's all I've got for you. I really appreciate you guys all coming and hanging out. This fucking fruit fly has been flying around my head this whole time. I swear I don't stink. I just took a shower about 2 hours ago. But I don't know where it came from, but I can't catch it. Anyway, that's my life. That, and I'm pretty sick and been coughing. Or I've been sick. I've been sick all weekend, but I'm getting over it this evening, as I mentioned earlier. So I've been trying my damnedest not to cough into this microphone this whole show. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for this little while and hearing about this news that interested me, taking a look at these trailers. And come back and check it out every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Pacific Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and 9 o'clock my time, Central Time. That's every Tuesday evening. We'll be doing it. Next week, we're coming up on the 20th episode. 20th episode of this little show that I started, a few months back. I've had a good time doing it. Hopefully it has improved in quality. I'm going to see if maybe I can get somebody to join me on that episode. I've had one guest since I started. I want to try and get more guests coming as the show goes on. But maybe I can get another guest next week. We'll see. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks for watching. Keep it real. Peace, love, chicken grease, peace in the Middle East. Have a good one. See you guys next week.